He has a few poses that are very hard to beat. The front double biceps, the front lat spread, the abs and thighs. You are watching Muscle Central. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, turn on your notifications, and leave a comment. The 2024 Olympia is only a few days away. My top 6 pick for the Open Division. Martin Fitzwater, 6th place. We've seen a lot of improvements with Martin over the last year and a half. He's one of the bodybuilders that are currently working with Stefan Kinzel. I believe that I pronounced that right. Boss of Outlaw. Together, they made a lot of improvements in Martin's physique. When he stepped on stage and he won at the Detroit Pro, which qualified him for the Olympia, he was very impressive. We saw those changes that he made over that period of time. A few weeks later, we saw him at the New York Pro, placing second behind Nick Walker. Some will argue he should have beaten Nick Walker. Either way, he pressed him, and he looked like he was even improved from the Detroit show. I think Martin Fitzwater has shown us in his last 2 appearances on stage that he's going to have enough to not only crack the top 10 in his first Olympia, I think he can place as high as 6th this year. 5th place, just like last year, Andrew Jack. I know Andrew, a lot of people have him placing higher. Some have him winning. Andrew has a beautiful physique. I'm not denying that. He has a few poses that are very hard to beat. The front double biceps, the front lat spread, the abs and thighs. But he also has there are issues. Andrew has a lack of thickness, and he also has a short torso and long limbs. The short torso in the front shots is not very apparent. The front double biceps, the lat spread, abs and thighs. But when he starts hitting the various variants of the most muscular, you start to notice that short torso. When it turns to the side, you can see the lack of thickness in his physique. And then when he turns to the back, that's when the short torso becomes much more apparent. He is a tremendous physique nonetheless, and he can beat a lot of people out there. He has beaten a lot of people out there. He can beat most of the people out there. But when it comes to the very best in the world, I think those things that I mentioned, the lack of thickness when he turns to the side, the short torso, when he stands on stage against the best in the world, they become more evident, and that's what I feel is going to hold him back from placing much higher than 5th. That's why I have him 5th this year. 4th place, Samson Dauda, although you can possibly switch him and Andrew up depending on whether Samson brings in better conditioning that he brought in at the France show. I think he will. Samson is more complete, more balanced than Andrew. I think he's going to bring him better conditioning than he did in France. I don't think he'll be very happy with a 4th place finish. It'll be a placing down from last year. But he will be qualified for next year's Olympia anyway by winning the France Pro. Anyway, I have Samson Dauda 4th place this year. 3rd place, Rafael Brandal. I mentioned before, he's a dark horse. He can be potentially very dangerous. For years, people have talked about Rafael with a shape, structure, balance, proportion, and he typically brings in good conditioning, if he fills out his frame enough, he could be very dangerous on that Olympia stage. He has filled out his frame quite a bit. We saw him on stage at the Arnold, Ohio, where he placed third. Hadi Choopan first, Samson Dauda second, Rafael third, and you can make an argument for him beating Samson. He pressed him nonetheless. It was a battle. You saw that improved size in Rafael, and he maintained all those other things that I just talked about. From seeing most recent update pics of him, it looks like he's put on even more size since the Arnold, Ohio. The fact that he's already pressed Samson very hard just recently, looking like he's put on even more size since then. With all these improvements that he's made, he's maintaining all those good qualities that he has. I see Rafael moving up big and placing third in this year's Olympia. Second place, Derek Lunsford. I personally always thought that he's a little overrated. You know, I said it previously over and over again in other videos. Derek as a 212, he's had issues as a 212. And it was always blamed on the fact that he had to suck down, lose the weight to make the weight limit. Those same issues that we've seen as a 212, we see in the open division. He loses a lot on his quads in the front by the time he steps on stage. His chest flattens out, and his arms were never a talking point by any means. He has a terrific back. I'm not going to argue that he doesn't have a great back. They say shows are won by the back. It's only 2 shots, and his back double biceps is really good. I'm not going to argue that, but his back lat spread, even his back shots, he might not be as dominant as some say he is. That back lat spread, I think, can be challenged by who I have in first place, Hadi Choopan. Hadi Choopan, when he spreads those lats out, spreads them out real wide and really thick from top to bottom, and you can make an argument for Hadi beating Derek in the back shot. Hadi, and many people felt that he beat him. They beat Derek last year. Derek shouldn't have taken the win over Hadi. What we saw from Hadi at the Arnold, Ohio this year was a number of steps above what we saw at the Olympia. Considering that the Olympia win for Derek was questionable, I don't think anybody would argue that the Hadi we saw at the Arnold, Ohio would hands down have beaten the Derek we saw at the Olympia. I don't think there'd be any argument about that. So Derek would have to catch up to what we saw from Hadi at the Arnold, Ohio. And I think Hadi's made improvements since then. So Derek would have to catch up to Hadi in Ohio and then some. Like I said, I don't think anybody's got a hold of Hadi this year. I cannot remember the last time I saw somebody on stage with the conditioning that Hadi brings consistently, with the level of conditioning that Hadi brings in, coupled with the muscularity, what we saw from him in Ohio, and then if he improves on that, which I think he will, I don't see anybody beating Hadi. Okay, my top 6 pick for this year: 5th place Martin Fitzwater. I'm sorry, 6th place Martin Fitzwater. 5th place Andrew Jack. 4th place Samson Dauda. 3rd place Rafael Brandao. 2nd place Derek Lunsford. 1st place Hadi Chupan. You can agree or disagree with anything I've said. Either way, let me know in the comments section. This is Michael Diamond. I'd like to thank you for watching Muscle Central.